Katherine had rarely met with friends ever since her husband got sick. They used to be the life of any party, but once the misfortune struck, many simply forgot about them. Some even turned away on purpose. Katherine was left with only one true friend, Samantha. She often came to visit, checked on her. Sometimes she even helped with whatever she could. When Chuck was first hospitalized, out of all their mutual friends, only Samantha came to see him. And now she was visiting her friend again. The women were sitting in comfortable chairs on the terrace, drinking coffee. "It's so nice," Katherine said. "It feels like nothing ever happened." "Don't even mention it," Samantha replied. "But don't dwell on it. Maybe things will get better." "What will get better?" "Have you seen him? He's lying in his room groaning." "No, I'm going to lose my mind from this." Katherine walked up to the parapet and leaned on it. "I wish I could dive into the pool and never come up." She fell silent, then added, "And there's that shadow of Hamlet's father wandering around here." "Who are you talking about?" Samantha asked. "Look over there." Katherine nodded toward the street. From the terrace of their house, they could see part of the road and the roadway. A rather pretty young gypsy woman was walking slowly along the curb. "Well, she's leaving, so what?" "They've been around here for ages, especially since they started handing out apartments in new buildings," Samantha said. "That's just it. She's not walking here for nothing. She's here for my soul," Katherine replied. "What makes you think that, Katherine? Are you turning superstitious now?" "Oh, forget it. What's that got to do with anything? She's trying to get a job with me. She's been here 5 times already, and I've sent her away. So now she's hanging around, hoping I'll change my mind." Katherine returned to the chair. "Well, that makes sense," Samantha remarked. "Listen, we've been friends for a long time. Can I ask you an impertinent question?" "Sure, go ahead." Katherine crossed her leg over the other and took a sip from her cup. It was clear that she was ready for any question, even the most impertinent ones. "Why didn't you and Chuck have any children?" Samantha asked. Katherine was taken aback. Her friend had asked exactly the question she least expected to hear. "Well, you know, at first Chuck was working and building an empire. Then..." Katherine hesitated. "Well, then it was already too late." "Sorry, what do you mean by too late?" Samantha pressed on. "Darling, I can accept the thought that you've discovered the elixir of youth, but I still think you're not yet 40. With modern medicine, it's really not a problem." 42, Katherine said. "I don't get it. What do you mean by 42? Samantha asked. "I'm 42. "That's it, Samantha, let's drop the topic," Katherine cut her off. "All right, fine. No need to get upset." Samantha quickly finished her coffee almost in one go and stood up from the table. "I guess I've overstayed my welcome. I should go." "Samantha, please don't be upset. It's just too sensitive of a topic for me," Katherine said. "You know, in India, women give birth at 60, Samantha said irritably. "And some India, where they still sit on the floor and eat with cockroaches." "It's not about that," Katherine replied. "Someday I'll tell you about it, but not now. Just please stop asking me questions like that." "But I warned you it would be an impertinent question," Samantha said. "Yes, but not that impertinent," Katherine replied. "And now it's no longer my concern. Do you see what's happening with Chuck? What children could he possibly have now? Who says you need to have kids with him?" Samantha smiled. "There are plenty of healthy men out there." "What are you talking about, Samantha?" Get a grip. You'd have a child with someone who's not your husband? Katherine asked bluntly. Me? No, why would I? We already have a wonderful daughter, her friend countered. Well, what if your husband wants a son? Katherine teased. My husband doesn't have that silly habit of wanting anything. He takes the world as it is, Samantha said. The friends said their goodbyes. Katherine walked Samantha to the gate, then returned to her room, buried her face in a pillow, and started crying. She cried until she fell asleep. Why is everyone pushing into my life? What business is it of theirs whether I have children or not? And why don't I have any? I don't ask anyone else. I didn't expect such a low blow from Samantha. It seemed like she understood everything. It's obvious that if a person is nearing their 40s without children, there's clearly a reason. Oh, these tactless, curious barbarians. I never expected Samantha to be one of them. Katherine and Chuck had been sleeping in separate rooms ever since he got sick. It had happened suddenly and unexpectedly. A successful businessman, a rich man who could afford anything, suddenly began to wither away. Many even said that perhaps he had been cursed or had the evil eye cast on him. Chuck joked about it. I'm just tired. I need to carve out some time to go somewhere, relax, and unwind. But somehow, that time never seemed to materialize. Then one morning, Chuck simply couldn't get out of bed. As always, the doctors shrugged their shoulders, one diagnosis after another, from multiple sclerosis to plain old nervous exhaustion. Chuck was admitted to the hospital. But soon after, they sent him home. A healthy man was just wasting away before our eyes. After that, Chuck never left his room again. It was around this time that Katherine and Chuck had an argument. The thing was, Chuck had an adult son. Katherine knew about him. He even worked at his father's company. That sort of thing happens often. It's life, and you can't do anything about it. Katherine wasn't the reason for Chuck's divorce from his first wife, so she didn't feel guilty about it. She met Chuck when he had already been divorced for about 3 years. So she couldn't be either for or against his son. That was his past, his life, and it was what it was. However, Katherine could never have imagined that, when Chuck fell ill, the responsibilities, and even the authority to sign things, would fall to his son. Well, who do you think I should trust with my company? Chuck asked at the time. Who else but my son can I trust? Well, actually, me. I have a degree in economics, and I know our entire accounting system inside and out, Katherine protested. But he's my son. Chuck raised his voice, trying to assert himself. And isn't it your fault that I don't have a son of my own and never will? Katherine shouted her accusation and stormed out of the bedroom. Since then, Katherine moved to the guest room and barely spoke to Chuck. Their communication was reduced to the bare minimum, asking what he wanted to eat, whether he needed anything, and other trivial matters. She spoke in a deliberately dry and harsh tone. Katherine often thought about either getting him some water or simply leaving the house. That was her first impulse after her husband made his son the de facto head of the company. But she didn't want to give up so easily. After all, she was still Chuck's wife. Katherine was deeply troubled by how the young man would handle such a big business. She started secretly checking the accounts, since the office staff knew her well. In the absence of the new director, it turned out that the employees didn't care much for Austin either. One day, the former accountant cautiously confided in Katherine that she was concerned about the financial situation at the company's overseas branch. Everything had started going wrong since Austin took over. She had noticed some strange invoices coming from abroad. What I'm most afraid of is that sooner or later, someone will have to answer for this. Chuck is sick, and I'm the chief accountant. I definitely don't want to end up in jail. So what do we do? Katherine asked. Let's do an audit of the overseas branch, the accountant suggested. But instead of an official audit, Katherine decided to go herself. No one abroad knew her, and they wouldn't suspect she was the wife of the owner. If she managed to uncover mistakes or violations, she wouldn't rush to the police to avoid implicating the accountant. But she would bring back valuable information to protect herself and intimidate the wrongdoers. Katherine agreed to the adventure. She hadn't been involved in anything like that for a long time, and now a secret operation was brewing. There was just one problem: she couldn't leave Chuck alone. Although they were arguing, Katherine still took care of him out of a sense of duty. She had to do something. She couldn't waste time looking for a nurse. The situation could explode at any moment, and an innocent person could get caught up in it. What should I do? Who can I ask to watch over Chuck? Katherine thought. Well, not Samantha. She's very squeamish. As far as Katherine remembered, Samantha even changed her own daughter's diapers with a face like she was enduring a punishment. And it's just awkward. We've known each other for a long time, but... And yet, Katherine decided to call her. Hi, Samantha. I need to go away for a couple of weeks, she started. Oh, really? Where are you going? Her friend perked up. Katherine didn't want to disclose the purpose of her trip. Samantha was a friend, but she loved to gossip. Her tongue was without a bone. Who knew who she might spill the beans to? If the information about the trip got to Austin? What if she drops by to chat with Chuck? Katherine thought. No, it was better if Samantha didn't know the real reason for her trip. Well, it just came up, Katherine said, thinking of the first thing that came to her mind. Oh, come on. Samantha interrupted again. Let me guess, you actually took my advice and decided to sort out your personal life, huh? What does my personal life have to do with this? My personal life is long sorted out, Katherine snapped. I just want a change of scenery, something different to look at. Got it. Your personal life is the one with Chuck, in the room where he's lying paralyzed? Her friend teased. Don't talk about Chuck like that, Katherine said seriously. I just wanted to ask you, do you or anyone you know have someone who could look after Chuck? You know, feed him, change him. Just for 2 weeks. I'll pay well. I need a caregiver. You know, no, my lovely ones don't do that, Samantha replied. Well, maybe they know someone who's used a caregiver. Katherine pressed. No, everyone here is healthy, Samantha said. Why are you upset? I really need help. Katherine didn't even realize she was already starting to apologize to her friend. I'm not offended, Samantha said, and continued to remain silent on the phone. Not offended, yet you're staying silent, Katherine remarked. I'm thinking, and I think I have an idea, Samantha said. The gypsy who's been wandering around your house, constantly asking for work. Take her. Why not? Are you joking or mocking me? I don't understand. Katherine snapped again. I'm completely serious. Do you think she can't cook porridge? Or carry out a duck? As far as I know, gypsies always need money, and they're willing to do anything for it. All right, thanks for the advice. I'll think about it, Katherine said. After thinking for a moment, Katherine remembered Samantha's words. Actually, she might be right. That young gypsy has been asking for work for ages. If she wanted to steal something, she would have already sneaked into the house and taken something, thought Katherine. Maybe this isn't such a bad option. The next day, Katherine noticed the gypsy walking along her usual route from the window. She hurried to leave the house and called out to her. "Miss," Katherine called. The gypsy finally turned at the shout. "Are you talking to me?" she asked. "Yes, to you." "What's your name?" Katherine asked, approaching the girl. "Jill." "My name is Jill," the gypsy replied. "And your last name?" Katherine asked. "No, you didn't understand. We don't use full names. I'm just Jill." "No last name because I don't have a father," the gypsy smirked. "All right, Jill. I live in that house over there," Katherine pointed to her house. "Yes, I know where you live," Jill smirked again. Katherine had always been amazed at how easily gypsies switched to the informal you with people they barely knew. But right now, she didn't have time to teach Jill any etiquette lessons. "You asked for work from me, remember?" "I think I have something for you," Katherine said. Katherine explained to the girl that she was going away and that Jill would just need to feed a seriously ill bedridden person, sometimes clean up after them, and also be sort of a house cleaner. Since it would be just the two of them, there wouldn't be much cleaning to do, just dusting before her return. All this would take a maximum of 2 weeks. "If you manage it and don't take anything from the house, I'll pay you a generous amount of money when I return from my business trip," Katherine said. "Are you sure you won't cheat me?" Jill asked, squinting her eyes. "We don't cheat people here," Katherine reassured her. And that's how they agreed. Just in case, Katherine took the family jewels from the home safe and stored them in the bank's vault, then left for her business trip. A few days later, Chuck saw Jill and asked, "I think you've changed a lot. Did you have plastic surgery?" "Sorry, I don't understand," the girl replied, confused. "Oh, never mind, sorry. I was just joking," Chuck responded, with a deep breath after every word. He was silent for a moment, then coughed for a long time and added, "I see, they've hired me a nurse." "Yes, the owner is away for 2 weeks." "My name is Jill," the gypsy replied. "Have you been coughing like this for a long time?" Jill asked again. "For a while," Chuck answered and then asked, "Could you raise the pillow, please? My head's going numb." Jill was handling her duties quite successfully. For several days, she took care of Chuck, and she was doing it very well. Chuck didn't even know why he trusted her. Most likely, he just had no other choice. If anyone else had been in her place, he would have asked for help in the same way. One morning, Chuck said, "Jill, may I talk to you heart to heart?" Of course, the girl smiled. Jill had a very charming smile. Chuck had always liked gypsies, a cheerful people who never get discouraged and laugh in the face of problems, even when things are bad. "The thing is, I'm dying, Jill. My days are numbered, and the time will come when I stand before the Creator." Chuck grew tired of talking, and, closing his eyes, decided to rest for a bit. "Tell me, how long have you been sick like this?" Jill asked. "Several years." "What does it matter?" He replied. "It matters a lot. My uncle died the same way. He couldn't move, he coughed." "And do you have vomiting?" the girl asked. "Yes, it's been happening lately," Chuck admitted. "I need to go to the camp to see my grandmother," Jill suddenly said. "Wait, I didn't get to tell you," Chuck started, but he grew weak again and couldn't finish. "I'll be back, you'll see." "I'll be back very soon," Jill promised. A few hours later, she returned with an old gypsy woman. The woman didn't speak English. Or at least, she didn't want to speak it in front of Chuck. The old woman examined him, touched his arms and legs, put her ear to his chest, clicked her tongue, sighed, and shook her head from side to side. Grandma, is it really? Grandma, what should we do? Jill asked, upset. Grandma, how could this be? She repeated, trembling with emotion. It was clear that Jill was very upset. Her eyes were filling with tears. The old gypsy said something to her granddaughter and left. Jill saw her off and returned. So, what's the diagnosis from the folk healer? Chuck asked, trying to smile. Grandma said that, just like my uncle, you've been poisoned with hemlock stem, Jill replied. Someone has been secretly adding its tincture to your medicine or food. She gave me an oak bark tincture to try and save you. But it probably won't help. It didn't help my uncle. We found out too late that his ex-lover had poisoned him. If only I had come to you sooner. Jill started to sob and cry. Oh, woe is me. She continued. How long have I been asking your wife for work, and she never let me in? What are you saying? I've been poisoned? Chuck asked, struggling to understand what he had just heard. Yes, with hemlock stem. It's a plant, also called poison hemlock. A large overdose leads to death. There's no antidote. Only the oak tincture might help, but only in the early stages of poisoning, Jill said. She was very agitated, her hands trembling. Well, if that's the case, then let's not waste time. Remember, I wanted to tell you something? Chuck asked. Jill nodded. I really need my wife not to find out about this, he pleaded. What are you talking about? I'm a grave, Jill promised. Then listen. Chuck took a deep breath. I have a son. I know. The owner said he'll be coming to bring medicine and everything else you need, Jill replied. Just listen and don't interrupt. I'm afraid I won't have the strength to go on, Chuck asked. I have another son, he finally said. He was born shortly before I got sick. His mother is not my wife. It just happened. Don't judge me, he added. We don't judge anyone, especially not love, Jill said. But it wasn't love. It was an accident, a mistake. It was my cowardice. Maybe that's why God is punishing me with this illness, Chuck said bitterly. What are you talking about? What does God have to do with it? Someone poisoned you, and we need to find out who. Maybe your wife knows about your affair. Perhaps she's getting back at you, Jill suggested. You don't understand what you're saying. Katherine isn't like that. She can't. And she doesn't know. I'm 100% sure, Chuck said. I have proof that she doesn't know. He paused to catch his breath, then continued. The mother of this boy abandoned him. Do you understand? Oh my God, how can that be? Jill asked, surprised. It can, Jill. It can. It happens. She has a family, she's with someone else. But she found out too late that she was pregnant. She's married to another man. I don't know how she managed to hide the pregnancy from him, but she did. The boy was sent to an orphanage. An orphanage? Jill gasped. Yes, Jill. My son is growing up in an orphanage and doesn't even know he has a mother and a father. I help him so he lacks nothing. It's my cross to bear. I'm a coward, Jill. I couldn't tell my wife that I have a child from another woman. I didn't dare bring my second son into the house because I feel guilty toward my wife. It's because of me that she can't have children, Chuck said. He was very tired and nearly fell asleep after finishing his words. With nothing else to do, Jill began looking at the medicines on the nightstand. She opened each bottle one by one and smelled it. "That's it," she said about one of the bottles. "This is hemlock tincture. The label says something completely different. I wonder who brought this particular bottle into the house." "Aren't you tired of listening to me?" Chuck asked again. "No, I think you're tired of talking," Jill smiled. "I just don't understand. What does this have to do with me? Do you just want to unburden your soul before you die? Maybe you should try the tonin tincture that the grandmother gave you. It might help after all." "No, I already feel like nothing will help. Let's not waste precious time. Jill, I want you to help me. My son, Clint, that's what they named him at the orphanage. They won't give him back. I need to fill out a lot of paperwork, and I'm afraid I won't make it in time. Jill, can you steal him from the orphanage and bring him here before my wife comes back? I want to say goodbye to the boy and ask for his forgiveness," Chuck said. "Are you crazy? They'll put me in jail." Jill was scared. "They won't. I'm begging you. We'll return the boy before anyone notices." "You'll see, I'm just begging you," Chuck pleaded. Jill knew firsthand what it was like to grow up without a father. She barely remembered her mother. In the camp, there were its own laws, its own rules. She was the product of forbidden love between a young gypsy woman and a married gypsy man. Her mother gave birth to her secretly and hid her, and when the father found out, he threw his daughter out of the camp. Her father never acknowledged her, and the girl was given into the care of her grandmother. This is how it happened that Jill grew up with her grandmother, but never had a father. Well, not really. She had seen him many times, but she wasn't allowed to call him Dad. To her, he was just Uncle. And yes, it was indeed he who died in the same way that awaited Chuck. Hell doesn't joke. Why not help a good person? Jill decided. She asked Chuck where the boy was, what he looked like, and set off on her way. Katherine had spent nearly 2 weeks abroad as an auditor. The situation was clear. There were violations everywhere. If the police had gotten involved, the chief accountant would have gone to jail without question. Now, everything had to be fixed urgently. There was no need to delay. Katherine decided to go home a couple of days earlier than planned. When she entered the house and looked into her husband's room, she was stunned by what she saw. Chuck, who hadn't gotten out of bed in years, was kneeling on the floor in front of a 6-year-old boy, hugging him and asking for his forgiveness. The boy was passively accepting the attention, but looked very confused. Jill was standing next to them, holding Chuck and wiping away his tears. They didn't notice Katherine at first, so she had a few seconds to observe them. The boy seemed strange, clearly brought by the gypsy girl, but he wasn't a gypsy. He even looked somewhat like her husband. "What's going on here?" "Let me inquire," Katherine asked. "Katherine, I'll explain everything now," Chuck started to explain himself. He tried to get up, but lost his balance and fell to the floor. Jill and Katherine rushed to help him up. He started breathing in a shallow manner. "Aunt Katherine, what happened?" Austin's voice came from the doorway. "You came just in time," Katherine said. "See, your father has fallen." Austin helped them lift Chuck, and together they placed him on the bed. Chuck was barely breathing. "I brought the medicine," Austin said, setting a small bag on the nightstand. Jill approached and opened the bag. Among the bottles, she spotted one exactly like the one on the nightstand, the one containing the hemlock. She took the bottle out and began to open it. "What is she doing?" "Who is this?" Austin asked nervously. "Miss, please put my father's medicine down. I don't think you know anything about them." "I doubt you can even read," Austin said. Jill took a couple of steps back so that Austin wouldn't snatch the medicine from her hands and opened the bottle anyway. "This isn't what the label says," Jill said. "This is hemlock tincture. So, this is who's been bringing this poison into the house and poisoning Chuck all this time. Right? What are you talking about? I'm his son." Austin shouted and tried to grab the bottle from Jill's hands. "Give it to me, we'll take it for analysis," Katherine said, taking the bottle from Jill's hands. "I'm starting to understand a lot now. After conducting the audit of our foreign branch." "You did what?" Austin shouted, suddenly realizing, and rushed out of the house. "Should we chase him?" Jill asked. "Yes. Let him run, he won't escape justice," Katherine said. "Now, can someone explain to me what's going on here and who is this boy?" "This is my son," Jill began to speak, but Chuck interrupted her. "It's me," Chuck said, barely able to catch his breath. "Katherine, forgive me, this is my son. His name is Clint, his mother." Chuck started gasping for air and fell silent. He was clearly in pain. "I'll call an ambulance," Katherine said. "No need. I'm dying. They won't be able to help me anyway." "You heard it. Austin was poisoning me slowly," Chuck said. "I assume it's for the inheritance. And you made him the acting executor. Very nice. All right, just lie down, Chuck, calm down." "And yes, I forgive you," Katherine said. "I tried to tell you something, Chuck. I made a will for my son. I didn't know." "Well, great, what else can I say? Not only did this scoundrel kill you, but now he's going to be the one." Katherine looked at the boy. The poor child didn't understand anything. But now Katherine understood. The boy had his father's eyes. "Jill, take the child to the kitchen and feed him something," Katherine said. "Where's his mother?" "I hope it's not you." "No, he's from an orphanage, and I brought him here secretly." "I need to take him back," Jill said. "And what's with all of you losing your minds? I leave for just a few days, and everyone in the house has completely lost it." "Jill, did you steal this child?" Katherine asked. "Well, basically, yes. Chuck asked me. He wanted to talk to the kid," Jill said. "Oh, well, if it's Chuck, then it's fine. He's our king and god," Katherine said sarcastically. "I'll tell the police that." "Don't open a criminal case," Chuck allowed us. "Great, the only thing missing is kidnapping, but it's okay. At least we'll have a roof over our heads when Austin kicks us out, and 3 meals a day. Just the sky will be checkered." "So what are we supposed to do now?" Jill was scared and upset. "Boy, what's your name?" Katherine asked. "Clint," the child said. "And your last name?" "I don't know," Clint said. "Where do you live?" Katherine asked, trying to be as gentle as possible so as not to frighten him even more. The boy turned around and pointed his hand at the window. "I see. And why doesn't he know anything?" Katherine asked in surprise. "Because he's from an orphanage," Jill said. "No one takes care of him there. Here's what we're going to do. You'll take him back to where you got him from. If the police stop you along the way, or if the orphanage gives you trouble, just say he's in the city." He was crying, "And if anything happens, call me," Katherine said. "They do run away from orphanages sometimes. It might work." "I've run away twice already," Clint said. "See? It'll work," Katherine said. "Well, Clint, say goodbye to your dad. Kiss him, he loves you." Chuck was whispering something to his son, but the words were indistinct. He was feeling very bad. The boy kissed his father on the cheek, and Jill took him away. Katherine stayed with her husband. Chuck, how could this happen? How did we live such a terrible life together? You didn't let me have children, but you. And why did I go along with you? Why did I agree? I should have run from you the same day you insisted on the operation. I must have loved you, Katherine said. And I loved you, Chuck whispered. Who is the mother of this boy? Katherine asked, but Chuck didn't answer. He was already unconscious. Katherine sat with him almost the whole night, holding his hand in hers. That night, she forgot all the resentments and forgave Chuck for everything. And so, he died in his wife's arms. By lunchtime, Jill returned. How did it go? Katherine asked. They said they've never seen a gypsy who returns a child instead of stealing one, Jill said. So, they have no complaints against you. That's good, Katherine said. You know, I've decided that after the funeral, I'll adopt this boy. At least, he's his son. And that's enough for me. Then I guess I'll go home, Jill said. You know, I actually like you. Stay with me, help with the memorial service. Though, there probably won't be many people, maybe someone from the company. Who else remembers him? Yes, my friend. And I'll soon need a nanny, Katherine smiled. They sat together for a long time. Katherine allowed herself to let her tears flow. She didn't feel any shame or embarrassment in front of the girl for some reason. They talked for a long time about life. Jill told Katherine her story, the story of her mother. She was told that her mother had been simply kicked out of the camp, and Jill had spent her whole life wondering why she hadn't found a way to contact her daughter. It was only at her deathbed that her uncle, who was actually her father, revealed that her mother hadn't been kicked out, she was killed by her own father. Jill, that's how things work in the camp. But why don't you have children? Sorry for the question, did your husband say he was responsible for this? Jill asked. Unlike others, who were curious, her question came across as simple and not offensive. I have nothing to forgive you for. Everyone's asked me this question, but you're the first one I actually want to answer truthfully, Katherine said. When we got married, I got pregnant, of course. My husband said he already had a son and didn't want any more. He couldn't handle a second child. He couldn't imagine how his children would divide his empire between them. So he decided that one son would be enough for him. He forced me to have an abortion, and then, without telling me, he paid the doctors to tie my tubes so that I could never have children again. What a nightmare. If someone did that to me, I would hate that person, Jill said. And I did hate him when he told me about it after the surgery. It's one step from love to hate, but the opposite is also true. I found the strength to forgive him and love him again. What's done is done. I didn't know. I didn't know that he would betray me once more. By the way, do you know who the mother of this child is? Katherine asked. No, he didn't tell me, Jill replied. The funeral went as usual, without pomp or grand speeches. At the memorial, Samantha cried the loudest. She couldn't imagine that he would leave so early. Someone even remarked that she was grieving louder than the widow. Katherine didn't grieve. She had cried all her tears earlier in the morning with Jill. Now, she had to take action. She wanted to adopt Clint as soon as possible, while she still had money and influence, before Austin kicked her out of the house, taking his inheritance along with his power and wealth. The adoption process went quickly. The orphanage expressed their sorrow, extended condolences, and hoped that their collaboration wouldn't end. Katherine nodded and agreed, not objecting at all, just eager to take the boy as soon as possible. The only thing is, I don't know, Jill, where we'll go if Austin kicks us out. I can't even buy an apartment now, let alone a house. As soon as Austin inherits, any such purchase will be canceled because Chuck is dead now, and we're in the inheritance period, Katherine said. Then come stay with us, Jill replied. My grandmother will welcome you, she's such a kind person. She wanted to save Chuck, but we figured out too late that he was being poisoned. Yes, I should have listened to the signs of fate and hired you when you asked, Katherine said. Please, forgive me. Well, there's nothing to be done now. If only I had known where I'd fall, I would have laid some straw down. As they say, Jill replied. At least now you have a boy. Yes, I wonder what kind of person this boy will grow up to be, Katherine reflected. No one suspected what kind of man his first son would turn into. And look, he poisoned his father to inherit quickly. He made a mess at the company, almost ruining his own inheritance. Sometimes I wonder what people think, what's going on in their heads. I think he'll grow up to be the person you raise him to be. We'll raise him, Jill said a month later, after Clint had already been living with her. Katherine received the full set of documents for Clint from the guardianship service. Upon opening the folder, Katherine read and was stunned. In the mother of the child section on the abandonment form that she had signed at the maternity hospital, there was the name and surname of Samantha, her friend. Katherine read it over several times, wondering if it could be a coincidence. But even the dates were identical. There was no doubt. But how? How had she managed to hide it for at least 4 or 5 months? And then Katherine remembered that about 3 years ago, unexpectedly for everyone, Samantha had gone to Tibet to find herself and for self-discovery. Of course, she hadn't given birth in Tibet. That was just the official version for everyone, even for her husband. She had hidden somewhere until the very day of the birth. That's why she was the only one left from the entire group with their spouses after Chuck had fallen ill and started bringing them to the hospital. Now everything was falling into place. If Chuck had told her right away that he had a child, but he couldn't. He was scared. Yes, to be honest, Katherine wasn't sure how she would have reacted in those circumstances either. Everything that happens as it should, the woman decided. She decided not to tell her friend that she knew who Clint's mother was, but she did have to limit the woman's visits to their house. However, the surprises from fate didn't end there. 6 months passed, and no one tried to kick them out of the house. The company continued to operate as usual, and with immense effort, the chief accountant managed to keep the overseas branch afloat. Everything seemed normal. Katherine couldn't call Austin and ask, "So, when are you going to claim your inheritance?" That would have been madness. And even if she wanted to, she didn't know where to call. Ever since he ran away after being caught poisoning his father, Katherine hadn't heard anything about him. Austin hadn't made a move. Katherine didn't even know if he was aware that his father had died that very night. Then, one morning, Katherine was woken by a phone call. It was the chief accountant. "You won't believe what just happened," said the excited, happy woman. "What happened?" "Speak more clearly, I don't understand you," Katherine replied. "Austin was just arrested for attempting to sell the overseas branch," the chief accountant said. "No way. So what stopped him?" "After all, according to the will, everything belongs to him," Katherine said. "Are you out of your mind? Why would it be that way? Chuck left the will to his younger son. All of his property, including the companies, accounts, and everything else, belongs to him, and until he comes of age, the guardian will manage it. I understand that's you, isn't it?" the chief accountant said. Now everything finally clicked into place for Katherine. Now she understood why Austin had acted the way he did. That scoundrel must have somehow found out that his father had a second son, and he was afraid that he would eventually have to share the inheritance. So, he wanted to squeeze as much money as he could from the company through offshore accounts and the foreign branch. He was the perfect villain for this scheme. He started slowly poisoning his father, hoping that Chuck would hand over the business and quickly pass away. And once Austin found out about the will in favor of his brother, he decided to sell the overseas branch at least. He thought that the laws of inheritance in their country wouldn't apply abroad. And so, he was caught. Now, Austin faced a sentence for economic crimes in another country, and when he returned home, he would be sentenced for poisoning and attempted murder. And such crimes have no statute of limitations. Greed had led to the downfall of a young but dishonest man. Katherine became the head of her husband's company and the mother of her husband's son. She ended all contact with Samantha, and Samantha herself didn't seek any communication once she found out who Katherine had adopted. Samantha was too scared for her marriage and afraid that her husband would find out about her affair and that she had given birth to a child and left him in the maternity ward. Clint quickly settled into the large house and soon began calling Katherine Mom. Jill was doing a great job as the nanny. Clint loved her, but even more, he loved spending time in the camp. Katherine kept joking, "He'll grow up just like a gypsy and marry one." "Well, then let him choose my daughter," Jill said. "I'm getting married," she announced. "Congratulations," Katherine replied. She gathered all of Jill's dowry and gave the young couple a nice gift.